Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to see you here. Today, I have a very special topic for you, happiness and pleasure in education. Sounds interesting, right? Well, it is. And to help me explore this topic, I'm going to use the perspective of one of my favorite educators and thinkers, Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire was a Brazilian educator and philosopher who lived from 1921 to 1997. He is widely regarded as one of the most influential educators of the 20th century, and his ideas have inspired millions of people around the world. He is best known for his book Pedagogy of the Oppressed, where he criticizes the traditional model of education that he calls banking education. In this model, the teacher is seen as the depositor of knowledge and the students are seen as passive receivers who memorize and repeat what they are taught. Freire argues that this model dehumanizes both teachers and students, as it denies their creativity, curiosity, and critical thinking.
So, what does Freire propose instead of banking education? Well, he proposes a model of education that he calls problem-posing education, where the teacher and the students engage in a dialogue about the problems that affect their lives and their communities. In this model, the teacher is not the authority who imposes knowledge, but a facilitator who helps the students to discover and create knowledge. The students are not objects to be filled with information, but subjects who participate actively in their own learning process. Freire calls this process conscientization, which means becoming aware of one's social and historical situation and taking action to change it. Problem-posing education can take many forms and shapes, depending on the context and the needs of the learners. For example, it can involve reading and discussing texts that relate to their reality, such as stories, poems, or news articles. It can also involve conducting research and experiments that address their questions and interests, such as measuring pollution levels or testing different solutions. It can also involve creating and expressing their own ideas and opinions, such as writing essays or making art projects. The main point is that problem-posing education is relevant, meaningful, and engaging for the learners. But what does happiness and pleasure have to do with this approach to education? Well, according to Freire, happiness is not something that can be achieved by individual satisfaction or consumption, but by collective struggle and transformation. Happiness is not a state of mind, but a way of being in the world that involves solidarity, dialogue, and liberation. Happiness is not a gift from above, but a right that must be fought for and defended. Freire also argues that education should be a joyful and pleasurable activity. Education should not be based on fear or coercion. Education should be based on love and freedom. Education should not be driven by external rewards or punishments, but by internal motivation and curiosity. Education should not be separated from life, but connected to it. Education should not be a means to an end, but an end in itself. In other words, Freire believes that education should be humanizing, not dehumanizing. Education should help us to become more fully human, not less human. Education should enable us to pursue our happiness, not hinder it. Of course, this does not mean that Freire's approach to education is easy or without challenges. We need to be aware of the possible pitfalls and limitations of his approach, as well as its potential benefits and strengths. We need to adapt his ideas to our specific contexts and needs, without losing sight of his vision and values. As Freire himself said, education does not change the world. Education changes people. People change the world. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up.